Welcome back to another video, guys. My name is Cameron and this is the review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 122. And if you guys didn't know, the Ultimate Universe is returning next month at the end of September. Peter Parker's been dead and all this crazy stuff has happened. They haven't really done anything with him. And now all of a sudden he's getting his own Ultimate Spider-Man Peter Parker comic book series back. But yeah, so the previous issue we did review Ultimate Spider-Man issue 121 with the appearance of Omega Red, J. Jonah Jameson, and Spider-Man fighting and all this crazy stuff, as well as Mary Jane and Peter having to look after a baby for one of their school projects, which basically got obliterated. And I did mention how I don't like it how the comics sort of do a flashback, because we already knew that Peter Parker was alive because they already shown it in the present day. So that fight with Omega Red and everything didn't really hold any weight because we already knew that Peter Parker was going to survive. And it's kind of funny because this issue 122 kind of does the same thing, but it does it in a good way. I'm not going to ruin it for you. Let's get into Ultimate Spider-Man issue 122 and see where this comic takes us. Okay, so this issue is actually quite a good one, and the reason why is because we actually get to spend some genuine time with a character that we've known in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics since the very beginning of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man, and that is Herman Schultz, aka the Ultimate Universe's The Shocker. And it's really interesting because this is the first time out of pretty much every single Ultimate Spider-Man comic that we get to know this character. We get to see him as an actual villain for once, because throughout the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, he's been more of a villain that Spider-Man can just joke around with, not really take too seriously. And I really like how this comic, so far at least, has portrayed him as a lot darker, a lot more serious, sort of insinuating that us as the reader should also be taking him as more of a serious villain as well. But anyway, we'll come back around to that when it comes back on screen, but right now you can see that Mary Jane and Peter are actually jumping into the reporter side of Mary Jane's character, and this is why I really like the Ultimate Spider-Man series, because it explores different dimensions of characters we've known for years. And especially in Mary Jane's comic book history, I think I do remember her saying that if she didn't become a model like in the 616 universe, then she would become a journalist or something along those lines. It also makes it really cool when Spider-Man PS4 portrayed Mary Jane as a journalist as well, so I think it's safe to say that the video game took inspiration from the Ultimate Universe in terms of Mary Jane's character in a way, especially since these comics released like 15 years ago now, so very interesting. But now moving into what's happening on screen, if you remember a few issues ago when I was reviewing the comic and I said that I don't like it when it's more of a prequel comic where it does like a flashback, this comic is doing the same thing, except I like this one because in the present day, Spider-Man is still in danger, which means even though we're still seeing events from 2 hours ago, we actually still don't know if he's going to die or not. And this is just your reminder to subscribe. Midway through the comic, I know I'm cutting you off. Hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. Now, just from a reader's point of view, something that was really confusing was if you look at the screen right now, there's literally one panel of where it shows the Shocker holding Spider-Man and then the next one is him in the van. So I got a little bit confused thinking like Spider-Man was driving the getaway van or something. So I feel like the art style did make a little bit of a hiccup there. But anyway, we're back on screen now with Spider-Man and Shocker in the present time. And as I was saying earlier, I love it how this character that's been made a joke of for the entire Ultimate Spider-Man series is now in a position of power where he has the upper hand, and for the first time you actually take him as a serious villain. I think what's even better as well is the fact that every single villain, whenever they manage to unmask Spider-Man, which is actually quite a lot by the way, they are always mind blown and really annoyed with themselves that they let a kid get in the way of their plans. So just in case Shocker feels hopeless as a villain already, he's going to feel even more hopeless now that he knows it's been a kid distracting him the entire time. Now moving on again, this comic actually explores a really interesting dynamic that we've never really seen explored before, and it's the fact that on the recording, if you remember, Peter was recording Mary Jane doing the news reporting, and then mid-recording, Peter goes off and beats Spider-Man. So it's kind of revealing Peter Parker's identity as Spider-Man. This exact dilemma would be even more relatable today in 2019, because now obviously digital media and smartphones and cameras are a hell of a lot more popular than they were back then. So for this problem to come up in a comic 15 years ago, or like whenever this comic came out, and it be even more relatable today is just so good. I also really like how the comic puts Kitty Pryde and Mary Jane in the position of having to work together, because obviously they kind of hate each other right now. So it forces these characters to come together to sort out a situation more difficult than their personal one. And in terms of character development and sort of taking their situation that's sort of been going on for quite a while now and forcing it to develop, especially in this way, I feel does a lot more for the future of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics and the relationship between these characters as a whole. And whilst we're on the subject of relationship between characters, us as the reader are kind of getting an insight into the character of Shocker, surprisingly discovering that he's super smart, like top level smartness. And all that's happened is he's been screwed over by a company known as Roxxon, which, by the way, obviously if you know the Spider-Man comics and everything, you'll know that Roxxon is like a major shady corporation. And in usual Peter Parker fashion, I like how he sympathizes with Shocker. And throughout the entire dialogue, it makes us as the reader sympathize with Shocker as well. So now in a way you feel like you know the villain of the Shocker. You look forward to seeing him in the comic series in the future. And after this whole situation, I genuinely want to see more of Shocker. I want to see Spider-Man helping Shocker. I want to see Spider-Man helping Shocker with Roxxon. Now in terms of what's happening on screen, I actually don't understand how Shocker accidentally set Spider-Man free. Did Spider-Man wobble and then knock his blaster out of his hand or something? It didn't really show it too clearly, which is something that the art style doesn't really do a good job of. So hopefully they don't carry on doing that in the future issues. But yeah, now we're coming up to the end of the comic and I really like how it sort of concluded. One of the things I wish it did, I wish he let Shocker free. Like I wish like he let him like escape or whatever. I'm seriously hoping we don't just not see Shocker for the rest of the series because we've still got quite a number of issues to go and it'd be a shame to waste that potential. But yeah, I absolutely love this comic and I hope you guys did too. Okay, so as always, that issue was awesome, but that is the end of it. Of course, I'm not doing these end things anymore, so we don't need to go back through the comic again. It's time to end the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button, like button, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.